Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Entrepreneurship Unscripted episode 3. I've got Dr. Nima with me here again. Nima, how are you? How's it going?
It's a beautiful day in Vancouver. I am really excited about being here. I don't know. I just love this conversation. This is the conversation that I love this conversation. And if I can have this conversation all day, I would. So I'm stoked.
Exactly. We're doing what we're supposed to be doing here.
When you
And
look when
yeah.
you look all the way up like that, what are you looking at?
Oh.
I look so it's so confusing for me. You're just like when I'm talking to you, sometimes you're like this. Yeah, yeah. I'm like, are you like watching the game while we're
Yeah.
having? Is
Yeah.
there a hockey game going on?
Yeah. Canada's playing in the background here. Sorry.
Okay,
Talk,
okay. So
talk amongst yourselves,
just
right?
talk amongst yourself. Don't let me interrupt you.
No, I've got 4 different pages in my personal page, and I'm literally just clicking publish, publish, publish on a hey, we just went live just to make sure that people know that we're here.
Perfect. Okay,
But
got it. All right,
I'm
got it.
done. I'm done. Now
Hey,
we're good. I can see us on the screen too, so I know it's working, and I see we've got about 12 people on here right now, maybe a few more. If you are just joining us, say hi to us. Let us know that you're there. Also, let us know where you're watching from right now, too. Always interesting to see where people are located all around the world, whether it's here in North America or overseas or whatever it might be. So just type that into the comments and we'll see it down below there.
yeah, where are you tuning in from, you guys? Just so that we have context. And if you know somebody who's been struggling with their entrepreneurship mindset game, this will be, you'll have some breakthroughs. It's my intention that you guys will have some breakthroughs in this that will have you having actionable steps moving forward. That's basically what I have committed to for you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. And for those of you that might be joining us for the first time, Nima and I have done a couple of live streams together before already. We talked about the idea of selling without selling. So just the whole concept of really believing in what you actually sell and having that come through in your conversations around enrollments into what you can help bring to the table for them and just truly loving what you do. And then, of course, last week we talked about how misalignments in your home life can translate into challenges and frustrations in your business life. And
Oh,
you can
yeah.
find and you can find all of these recordings on my page, so you guys will see them here. There, we leave them up there all the time. And today, and I see a bunch of people chiming in there now, but today we're going to talk about the mind body hacks for high performing entrepreneurs. And I said this before, and I'll keep saying it. I am a student as well, and this is why I selfishly love doing these with you, Nima, because there's lots of things that I do in my day-to-day life where I find myself busy and slouching at the computer and not getting to the gym enough and eating cookies instead of fueling my body, and
Yeah.
just a million
Yeah.
different other things that we'll go through here today that I know a lot of other people suffer from too. And yeah, so that's hopefully what we'll be able to take away from here. So like I say, I'm a student. I'm ready to absorb some
Well,
info and to
well,
engage in the
what I
conversation.
wanted to share about that is that everybody knows what they should be eating and how they should be exercising. I'm not going to spend any time talking about what you should and shouldn't be eating. You guys all already know that.
Yeah.
I'm really focused in on the mindset hacks that have us not choosing the right things, that we become a slave to our habits and addictions, and why this happens and what you can do so that you can show up in your entrepreneurship and your business feeling aligned. And everybody knows what that's like. Everybody knows what it's like to come to work and just feel really connected with their why, with who they are, with what they're doing, with their customers or their clients, and then seeing transformations and their problems being solved, and that feeling of fulfillment that, wow, I am where I'm supposed to be. I'm doing what I love. I'm feeling compensated for what I'm doing. I feel like I'm telling the truth. I feel like I'm being the authentic version of me. Everybody knows what that's like, and everybody knows what it's like to be disconnected from that. And so what I wanted to share today is some of the most profound tools that you can use, some awareness that can actually make sure that you are in that space. And that's my goal for today. So does that sound interesting to you, Trevor?
Yeah, and tell me if anybody else watching this can relate to this too. So, like I said, I'm a student of this as well, and Nima, we'll share and talk about my experience with some of the things. Yeah, some of the things that you'll talk about. We'll talk about my experience when we first met, and even where we are right now, because
beautiful.
I know that a lot of this is just a mental block to be able to, as you say, you know, like really just be aligned with what the purpose and the goal and the values and your mission is. The rest of that stuff I mentioned, as far as eating and sleeping and standing and all that kind of stuff, are just the byproduct of it, right? It's the way that our mind works. So, anyways, we'll get right into things. And go ahead.
Let me share this with you. What you're talking about basically is, I don't want to sound religious, although many of you might have a religion that you're subscribing to. We talked about spirituality in the first conversation that you and I had, and I'm going to go back to that a little bit. But and just taking away whether you're Muslim or Christian or whatever, let's just all agree that there are higher forces that we're connected to, and everybody knows what it's like when they're connected to their higher forces, higher sources, spiritual forces, whatever it is, and that is our source. Right. And it's kind of like this thing here. I got my little headphones on right now. And so you're plugged in to source, and now the energy flow and everything is in alignment, and you are your highest version of yourself. There's a great energy. Your body starts to heal in those situations. You feel powerful in your conversations. And also, to be disconnected from all of that is to be disconnected from your higher sources. So in order for us to do that, I got to give you the context. So I want you to look at four different possibilities here. So this left hand here, this is my left hand. It represents my day-to-day mindset. And this right hand represents my vision for the future. Okay, so my vision for the future here. All right. So basically, in order for you to be bending reality, to create an incredible business, to be able to be connected, to be able to be earning prosperity and abundance, it follows that there has to be a certain context in play, and that we have to have our vision up here and our mindset up in this area, where from that space we're tapped into spiritual forces. And we have the ability to bend reality. We have the ability to attract the right client. We have the ability to get the results. We have the ability to heal our bodies. Okay. Now, there's another possibility here. So this hand represents the day-to-day mindset, the day-to-day how you're doing. This is one possibility. If we're down at the bottom, so this right hand is down here with no future vision, no mission statement, no real future kind of creation possibility. And my left hand, which is my day-to-day mindset, is down here. You're basically living in depression. Life is crap in that space. Your ability to bend reality and create a beautiful life is gone. And everybody knows what that's like, to be there, to not have any vision for the future or have that be lost. And your day-to-day mindset and your health and your energy is low. Now, let's talk about the foundation. What causes this here to be low is, number one, if I don't have enough water. So that's got to be, that is like, I got my water here. You got to be properly hydrated. You got to make sure that you have a plant-based diet. You got that is less in toxicity, more insufficiency. And not deficient in nutrients. You got to have plenty of exercise. And I'm a chiropractor, so I talk about this a lot. You have to have a nervous system that's in alignment. So if I have a nervous system that's out of alignment, I'm not working at 100%. That's all self-care that you're responsible for. I don't need to go into that because you already know it. If that's not in alignment, your energy levels and your level of mindset is down at a low. Okay, so what that means is that you are not going to be able to bend reality. Now, let's say you are in quadrant number 2, where your mindset is low and you have you don't have a future vision for the future. It's not up here, it's down here, and that your day-to-day mindset is up here. This is the classic case of I'm gonna like get excited and elated. I'm gonna party, you know, the party mentality. I'm gonna go to the game. We're gonna do the things that get us the high. Ooh, I went shopping today. I went to the spa today. I do all of these things for pleasure to get me up and high, but I don't have a vision for the future. So what happens, Trevor, after you go after the high? What happens?
Big time crash. I've been there
And
before.
you all know what that's like when you go after something, a temporary high, which is the shopping, the addiction, the partying, the socializing, the drugs. It's like, I'm feeling so low down here. I don't have a future vision, but I'm going to seek the high. And this is the addictive cycle. Okay. Then there's quadrant number 3, which is you have a grandiose vision for the future, what you would love to create, a business that inspires or transforms people or solves a big problem for society. But my day-to-day is down here. Welcome to stress and anxiety. Welcome to entrepreneurship. Welcome to not having a feeling of being in alignment with this. If anybody knows what I'm talking about here, I should be resonating with many of you where you have this grandiose plan and vision for yourself, but your day-to-day is down here. Well, guess what? Your ability to bend reality and create that future becomes null and void almost, okay? Or the gap between where you are and where you'd love to be is so wide that it takes a lot slower. It takes a lot longer and there's a bigger gap. Now, the fourth quadrant, the fourth opportunity, which I talked about before, is you have an amazing vision for yourself in the future, and you have your mindset that's in alignment. Your body is working well. You're tapped into energy. You're tapped into spiritual forces, which is, you know, your higher self, whatever that is for you. And now you start to attract synchronicities. Opportunities come in. You start to go through this, the haze of entrepreneurship, of uncertainty, and you're actually creating your future. You're actually at cause. You're bending reality. And those are magical moments. And here's the problem with this, Trevor. It takes an inertia to get there. It takes several things that I wanted to share with you that it's super duper important for us to do. So the question is, how do I get myself there? And the first answer is you have to create a vision for yourself.
Yeah.
You have to, number one, you have to create a vision. What it is that you would love to be, do, and have. What you would love to be for others. Around others, around you, what do others get to be? What possibility do you create for others because of who you are? Well, for me, I create the possibility of inspiring leadership. Around me, in my space, leadership emerges. That's just who I am. That's what I've decided because I've created a vision for myself. Now, there's going to be dark times on that path, many. And in those dark spaces, as long as I can tap into that vision, what happens is I give myself an opportunity to access those spiritual forces. It's really about access. So that's the first thing, is you got to create a vision for yourself. And it's got to be congruent with the values that are truly you. So, you know, I have been caught creating this massive vision, and I really got to, you know, after going through suffering from some major tragedy and major downfall, I really saw that that vision was really just about me, my success, my relevance. It was about me being, oh, I want to be important. I want to be successful. And that became an addiction. And if the motivation for that is based on your little dark passenger, which is that little voice that says, I'm not enough, and it's based on quieting that voice, and it's not really about being in alignment with serving other people, there's a prayer that I grew up with in the Baha'i faith. I was raised as a Baha'i, and it basically said, Lord, make me a hollow reed from which the pith itself has been blown, so that I may become a clear channel through which your love may flow to others. Now, it's kind of it's a beautiful picture. Make me a hollow reed from which the pith of self has been blown, so that I may be a clear channel through which your love may flow to others. When I'm in that space and I have tapped in and in alignment, all of a sudden I'm tapped into spiritual forces, my ability to manifest my business, my whatever, the law of attraction, whatever you want to call it, becomes possible. Synchronicities start to happen. Access to material possession, access to material forms which can help you advance your cause start to happen when you are in that space. So you got to create that vision, and you got to make sure that vision is just as much for others as it is for you. It's got to weigh and balance out your altruistic side with your narcissistic side, because if it's just about that without the other, it's not realistic. So it's got to be both-sided. All right, that's the first thing. Second thing that's super duper important once you've created that vision is we have to find the energy each day to access those higher forces and that vision. I have to be tapped into it. So before this call, if I'm not tapped into my why and why I'm doing this, what's in it for me, what's in it for you, what's in it for everybody who's listening, and I'm very closely aligned with that. If I don't do that, then I don't have that effect, that I don't have effectiveness, then I'm not effective. I can't perform, I can't produce as well. The probability of success is not as high, because I got to tap into that why. So I've created the vision, I've tapped into that why. Why is this important? Because what happens is I tap into my spiritual forces. Those higher forces are at play. Okay. Most entrepreneurs in that stress and anxiety place, we're waiting for externals to change. I just want to change. I just want to see the money coming in. I just want to see other people, all of these people coming and telling me how amazing I am, so that I can then be tapped into my spiritual forces. It actually works the opposite way. And that comes with tapping into a why and really bringing up that energy of gratitude. I know you've heard this before. Gratitude is your access point, is my access point to higher forces. Plain and simple. Either I'm plugged into it or I'm not. When I'm plugged into that higher force where there's an abundance, there's just no lack, it's all happening, right? When I'm there, it's not possible for me to feel lack and limitation. I'm actually giving, because I'm coming from a place of there's no lack. There's so much abundance that I'm there. I'm in a flow. You've tapped into your outflow. And the word is outflow. All right. So the third one is tapping into your outflow. That's through gratitude is your outflow. Because if I'm here right now, I'm giving. I'm giving my time. I'm giving my energy. I'm giving my heart right now. I can't do that if I'm empty. I can only do that from a place of outflow. Right. So that comes through a series of rituals. So gratitude, affirmations, visualization, exercise. Like, this is the critical morning rituals that when I take the time to carve it out, what I'm doing is a sacred moment for myself to tap myself right into my flow-like state, into my flow, so that I can come and then create my day from a place of intention rather than reaction, which is what the shit show of entrepreneurship is like when you're not tapped in. So it's a choice that I make. If I take the time and I create that and carve that out, every single successful entrepreneur has this one thing in common, is they wake up early and they take that sacred time. For you, it might be prayer. For you, it might be meditation. For you, it might be exercise and reading and journaling. It's all of the above for me. The reading the book, The Miracle Morning by Hal Elrod, which talks about savers, silence, which is meditation, affirmation, visualization, exercise, reading, and scribing, which is journaling and writing. Now you're thinking, you might be, at first I was like, what? I'm not a morning person, and screw that. I don't want to do that. And what we've discovered is with babies, with animals, with human beings, if we don't create habits, then we start the day off with anxiety, and we are not at cause in our day. We are just basically bystanders, and we're being taken, and we don't put high priority actions into our day. Lower priority shit takes over, and then we're now overwhelmed. We're like taken across. We're thrown around, and basically this vision of being able to bend reality that I shared right there. You start the day off here. You got this great vision, but your mindset is crap because you haven't taken the time to tap into your flow, your outflow, and be the creator and at cause for your day. Does that make sense? Does this resonate with anyone? I know I get to talking, and is this relevant to anyone? Does anyone have any questions about that? I'm saying stuff you already know, but might likely be disconnected from. So this first part is just a reminder.
Yeah.
The next part that's super duper important is to be able to bring your mindset up so you can, get healthy, aligned, and then create your reality. Hey, Daryl, thanks, brother. Aaron, it's good to see you, and Shelly as well. Mike, I'm glad this is relevant for you too. The next part is you have got to learn how to dance with your dark passenger. Now, what the hell do I mean by that? Your dark passenger is what Carl Jung calls the shadow, your shadow. It's a part of you. It's this little voice in the back of your head that says, you're not enough. You're not good enough. You're not worthy of love. You're a piece of crap. No one will ever listen to you. You guys know what I'm talking? Who here knows what the hell I'm talking about? I'd like to know especially when you venture into this entrepreneurship game.
Yeah, that resonates with me because it's the whole concept of imposter syndrome as well too. Hey, Nema, just this idea that no matter what you've built and how many lives you've impacted or the value that you bring, you constantly, or we as entrepreneurs will question the value that we're bringing. We see other people that maybe are at a different level than where we think we need to be. And we hold ourselves down because of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Ram Dass speaks to it. Yeah, everybody speaks to it.
Careful.
Anybody who's really integrated the shadow, integrated that, I call it your dark passenger. It's the part of you that you're ashamed of. It's, I'm a failure. I'm not good enough. As Trevor just said, the imposter syndrome. The imposter syndrome is that part of you that says, who am I to be making such a difference? So you got to actually learn how to dance with it. So how do you dance with it? Well, it comes from earlier memories in your past that had you concluding that you're not worthy of love, you're not a good person, you're not lovable. For me, mine is you're a failure and you're not important, you're irrelevant. So what that does is that it freaking unconsciously, if you haven't really had the right mentorship, it unconsciously drives you. For me, it shows up as relevancy. Is that, oh my God, I have to become a chiropractor because I have got to have the right thing to be able to make such a big difference in someone's life and transform them so that I can feel relevant. And then I have to become very successful materially so that I can feel relevant. And it freaking runs your life if you're unconscious and you don't call it out and shine a light on it and bring it to the light of day. And it comes from this dark past of yours, your trauma, your abuse, your neglect, and the things that you're ashamed about that you've done, that you're beating yourself up for. It's stored in your subconscious and it's unconsciously sabotaging you and contributing to your day-to-day mindset being down here. In other words, the hormones of stress from earlier traumas that you haven't yet learned how to unpack and dissolve block you from taking steps forward and having the faith and confidence and belief in yourself to walk through that inertia, to walk through the resistance, to walk through that voice of the dark passenger, to step up and then actually claim your rightful place as a leader that serves other people. See, my dark passenger's there. It's right there consistently, but because I've done the necessary work in order to learn how to dance with it, I can comfortably share it with you and know that it's there as my passenger, and I'm working as a team. We speak with one voice together, and I'm using him. I have a funny name, with my clients, we kind of, we create a name for them so that we develop a relationship. That's why I call learn how to dance with your dark passenger. And what you do is you learn how to cultivate a healthy relationship with it by clearing your past resentments, your past regrets, your past guilt, and bringing them to the light of day and sharing them authentically with people, the shit that you don't want anyone to know. But one of the clients that I was talking to, she was like, there's some stuff that happened in my past, and I don't really want to talk about it. And it's stuff that I just don't want anyone to know. And so if you don't get that part right, what happens is you will find yourself repeating patterns again and again. You'll self-sabotage, okay? You'll self-sabotage. Yes, I do a daily meditation practice. Yep, absolutely. And you'll self-sabotage. You'll constantly beat yourself up. Your addictive behaviors start to take over and sabotage all of your efforts to actually move forward. But when you get this part right, you're able to recognize it, to call it out, and then take powerful action. And then you get shit done. And then you start to you start to face your fears. You start to be able to quiet that voice down, call it out, and then your leadership starts to emerge when you get that part right. That makes sense.
So Nima, just to make a reference, and I can't remember if it was you that brought this up in the workshop that we did together, but I think it's relevant to this. There's an analogy that's used. Everybody knows who the rapper Eminem is, right? And, in the movie 8 Mile, at the end of that movie, he puts everything on the table as far as like, this is what my past is, Yes, I live in a trailer park with my mom. Yes, I have all of these faults, all these things that have happened to me. You have nothing that you can say to me that I'm not already going to own myself. And it actually puts him in a position of power. And I know I can relate to this too personally, because there's lots of things around that too that am continuing to be comfortable with, and realizing that dark passenger, and that's, what we might see as ourselves as failure or as weakness actually becomes your strength when you really own it, because you end up opening up to people that can then relate to you as a human being, whether it's business failures and you're a business coach, like, well, I can't talk about my failures. People expect me to be perfect, or divorces that we go through. Well, people can't see my life as being filled full of divorce and losing kids and abandonment issues as a child and all these different things. But it's actually what makes us human and helps us relate better to people and connect with them on a different level.
Totally. 100%. Beautiful example. And you just basically, at the end of that movie, Eminem basically danced with his dark passenger. He took the thing that he was most ashamed about in his life and said, yeah, here it is. And then that was the cause of his triumph. Very, 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 very important, important point. Now, what's the problem? The problem is we have such shame about it. And I'm going to share some stuff, and this might trigger some of you. Some of you are listening and you've been through an abusive past. Some of you have abused others. Some of you have had massive failures. You've had infidelity. You've been cheated on. You've been a victim of stuff, and you've been a perpetrator, and you're living in a spiral of shame. And if you don't have the right tools to be able to unpack that the way Eminem did, just kind of blurted it out and bring that to the light of day, which has been the most terrifying thing for many people. I remember one of my clients, she basically anxiety, depression. She just like, I don't know what my purpose is. And I was like, all right, so this is confidential. It's between you and me. Nobody's going to know about this. What's going on? What's blocking you? And so she starts bawling and she goes, 2 years ago, I cheated on I had an affair on my husband. And you might listen to this and go, whatever, but this was a big deal for her. She's got 3 kids. And if he finds out, I'm going to lose my family. And you're not going to make me tell him, are you? You're not going to make, I said, no, listen. My job as a coach basically is to unpack and clear all the shame, all the regret, everything. I don't have a specific agenda except you getting 100% aligned with your truth so that you can have power, freedom, full self-expression, and then serve other people with it, because she was blocked in her entrepreneurship. So lo and behold, within our first couple sessions of really unpacking it, she then all of a sudden goes, that's it. I now know what I got to do. I have to tell him. So just like Eminem, she goes up and she shares it. And this wasn't me telling her. I wasn't forcing her. When you do the work and you get this right, you're called upon. Like there's a integrity, there's a truth, there's a beauty, there's a beautiful thing. There's a beautiful higher force within all of us that our lies, our shame is completely blocking. But once we get 100% in alignment with it, all of a sudden we're called into action. It's like, I don't have to give advice. I don't give advice. I just remove what's blocking. That's not you. You get right back into alignment. She was like, after the group call that we did, she's like, I got to go. She goes and she shares it with him. And he basically said, I want you out of here. And she went through the process that we go through in the hero's journey. When you have an identity and she has the death of her old identity for her 2 years, this identity of shameful, whatever was now she experienced an ego death. So she went through this deep, dark space for a couple weeks, and we were all holding space for her. And now as within 3, 6, 7, 8 weeks have passed since that time, she messaged me after she completed. She said, this has saved my life. I have my family back. I have my power. My relationship has never been better. This was probably the most difficult period, but the truth, this is what they say, the truth will set you free, but not until it's had its way with you.
Yeah.
So just like in Eminem's case, the truth set him free, but all of that shame leading up to that point, that dark passenger, I'm not enough, he basically in one moment learned how to dance with it. Now, I've been studying this because I've had shame and not good enough, and I had my own story of massive failure. I went through leaving my chiropractic, my safe chiropractic practice, where I was, earning easily six figures. I was working 3 days a week, making 30 grand a month, clearing myself. The business was doing well. I was bored. My dark passenger was like, this is not enough. So I basically challenged myself to step up into a leadership role and start coaching and helping people, entrepreneurs with entrepreneurial executive anxiety, the ones that were dealing with this executive anxiety that didn't know what next move, or their dark passengers of imposter syndrome, not good enough. I stepped up into that, and I went through this dark night of my soul where I went through massive failure in that transition and identity crisis. Who really am I without my patients? I'm used to being Dr. Nima, and I went through my hero's journey of the dark night of the soul. So I came out on the other side with absolute certainty that I have the tools to be able to help people who went through exactly what I did. So this is the hero's journey that we're all on. And once you learn how to dance with the dark passenger, that vision that's there, you can bring up your mindset there. When you get this right, you're able to bend reality, and your business success happens, synchronicities happen, and things start to move for you.
I just want to ask too, how many people that are watching here, or even watching on the replay, have read that book, The Hero's Journey? Because I haven't yet. It's on my to-do list, Nima.
Yeah.
But I know you've referenced it lots in the trainings and the coaching that we've done together too. It's obviously something that I get to prioritize here to go and read on that too, because I think it's so relevant, especially for entrepreneurs, right?
Save yourself the time of reading that. You can buy that. You can get a movie and watch it. It's called Finding Joe. Joseph Campbell wrote the book, The Hero with 1,000 Faces. And what he did was he basically looked in all mythology and spirituality and everything. And every book, every movie that you see follows that hero's journey. So it's this call to adventure, this refusal of the call, which is the imposter syndrome. And then you go, there's tests and allies and enemies, and you meet a mentor along the way. And then at some point, there's a death of an identity. There's a graphic. Many of you have been through it already. Sometimes you go through it a couple times. I'm on my second cycle of it over the past couple of years, in the last 2 years, where I'm experiencing the death of an old identity, this identity of, being this guy that travels around the world and teaches and speaks, and, this amazing coach that can help transform relationships and career and executive anxiety, going through a massive transformation in that. So it takes you through the steps of what to expect. And it's a very inspiring movie. I highly recommend you guys watch it. Instead of watching, it's called Finding Joe, the movie Finding Joe. You could read the book, The Hero with a Thousand Faces. There's if you on Audible, you can go The Hero's Two Journeys. And these are screenwriters that talk about the two journeys of the hero. We'll watch Finding Joe. Absolutely, Lanning. Definitely watch Finding Joe for sure. It's very, very good. It's the journey. It's a journey that you're going to see yourself in that movie. It's a very good movie. One of my favorites.
On that note too, Nima, so you mentioned the Miracle Morning. This is another resource. Like, it'd be great if people have, obviously, in addition to what we're talking about, and having something resonates. And of course, when we do these chats, there's conversations happening here that maybe aren't inducive to having people share their own personal experiences of that, dark passenger that they even have too in a live environment, which is totally understandable.
Yeah. Exactly.
So even if you are just on the other end and listening in and watching and stuff, hopefully you're getting some value from what's being talked about here. From the resources perspective, so you talked about the Miracle Morning book. You briefly alluded to meditation, which I'll share my experience in that too, if you want. But what is this Miracle Morning book? Maybe just elaborate on that real quick.
The Miracle Morning is done by Hal Elrod. It's a fantastic story of a guy who basically was going through a depressed state, and he looked and saw that everybody who was super successful did about 7 things in the morning. Right? They did about 7 things in the morning at different. Some did a few here, some did a few here, some did they did a few things in the morning that got them to set their day up and become successful. And he was like, well, I wonder what would happen if I did all 7 of those things. And he started doing all 7 of those things, and he didn't recognize his life in 60 days. So silence, affirmation, visualization, exercise, reading, and writing. So 6 things, sorry, not 7, 6 things. SAVERS is the acronym, and it just shows, it just kind of hammers home the point of that book. It's one of the most transformative books. It's a beautiful book. And I highly recommend it to everyone. All my clients see that. It'll make a huge difference for you. And that's part of creating your mindset on the day to go here, so that your beautiful vision can be met.
So I'll maybe share my experience with this, just to be transparent, so everybody kind of knows, and maybe you can relate to me speaking in this way as well. But I don't have a good morning routine, Nima, and I think a lot of entrepreneurs are maybe in the same boat. There's distractions right off the bat. There's my phone, there's my email, there's my social accounts, there's my Slack with all my team in it. There's my son that's, getting up and starting to go crazy. There's, if I got a meeting in the morning, I don't have time to get to the office. It's trying to do a meeting at home with my son screaming in the background. So the idea of actually, taking time to step back and do these practices, and, with meditation even being at the forefront or the center of all of that, to me, I create a barrier on that where it's like, I don't have time, which I know is just bullshit. It's just an excuse, because I can get up earlier. I can go to bed earlier to be able to get up earlier. There's all these different things, but I'm sure many people that are watching this can maybe relate to the same thing, because our lives are just so damn busy, right? And we always say that, I just don't have time. It's usually always one of 2 things. It's time and money conversations for most people, that's especially in the entrepreneur world, because you are the source of all of that. You create the time that you have in your life, and you create the money that you have in your life too, and or the abundance, however you want to refer to it as. So, to be transparent, like, and that's why I said in the emails that I sent out to everybody too, I started laying out all these different things, and I was like, and I am guilty of every single one of them, and I work on them every single day, And on the meditation side of things, when I first, so I have lots of friends, and I of course do a lot of research and reading and stuff, and I understand that there is value in meditation. And when I did the 2-day weekend with Nima and his team there too, we started off that weekend with a meditation that was maybe like 10 minutes or something, and we did the entire weekend. And then at the end, I think it was literally like in the last 2 hours that we had our weekend together there, Nima, I was transparent and saying, I did not listen to anything that you had to say when you ran us through that guided meditation. Because I was just saying, like, my brain's going a million miles an hour, and I'm looking outside, and I just, resting my mind seems so foreign to me, and it still does. And it's still something that I work on. And I know that it can be so valuable for me. So anyways, should we maybe speak around that? Because I know a lot of people watching this are maybe in the same boat where they get up and there's just a million things around them, and they feel like they can't get into that state because they're so driven towards what they've always known, including myself, right? It's just be busy, hustle, the hustle word in the entrepreneurship world, right? It's killing more people than I think it is actually helping them in growing their businesses.
Well, Trevor, I just also want you to be kind to yourself. I just heard your dark passenger, like, it's a practice. It's a practice. You're not supposed, like, if you haven't done it before, it's a practice. It's like, it's a practice of, I used to think it was all BS as well until I just started practicing it. And it's been a life changer for me. And so I teach it. I promote it. Anything that gets me connected with my higher forces, God, universe, universal flow, whatever you want to call it. We'll just call it spiritual higher forces that we all know that we can tap into, whatever you'd like to call it. I believe in what you believe in as well. That's a big part of it for me. And so when I'm plugged in, time and space start to change. My perceptions of time and space. So you say, well, I don't have the time for it. That's right. It's because you're not meditating. And when you meditate and you do it in the right way, which I'm going to launch kind of like a meditation, a guided meditation for people who hate and suck at meditation, just like me.
Nice.
Exactly. I will. I'm coming out with that very soon. What happens is you then tap into the truth of who we are, which is timelessness, spacelessness. Like when you're tapped into universal source, like, let me give you an example. If you go into outer space, you're beyond the moon. So put yourself there right now and go into the Milky Way galaxy and beyond. You're there in consciousness right now. Tell me what's 12:43 p.m. Tell me what is 12:43 p.m. It doesn't exist. Time is man-made. Yeah. So the whole idea is to get myself into Einstein time, which is in the field of intelligence, the higher force, whatever you want to call it. And when you're there, you come in and you have an ability to create. You have the power to create. And so this whole conversation is about the mindset it takes to bend reality and to create from a place, instead of being frustration, from emotional, upheaval and resentment, to a place of powerfully aligned and right on purpose.
So where I think this is so powerful for where you and I do these together too, Nima, is that, I'm a student, like I said, so I'm learning from you, the coaching and everything in all aspects of my life, the business, our personal life, and all that kind of stuff. And I also have elements of me too that's entirely just resistant to everything, because I think to myself, and I say it out loud because I know people watching this are feeling the exact same way. So let's acknowledge it right off the bat.
Call it out.
And just know that because
just know that that's your dark passenger.
That's my dark passenger for sure. And I can tell you, I can even go into a story about even today, like I'm back to back meetings. And every little bit of either me showing up late or somebody else showing up late, it just, for a moment in time, it throws me off. And then I bring myself back into the idea of, the common term is just being in flow, and just like, let these things just happen how they happen, and put some structure to your business. But at the same time, like, if somebody shows up 15 minutes late, or you do the same, or your kid's screaming in the background while you're on a meeting, it shouldn't ruin the rest of your day. You shouldn't allow it to ruin the rest of your day. There's ways.
What if you started the day off the night before?
Yeah.
And you decided how you would love to feel, and this is one of the best tips that I'm going to give you guys, kind of like as a gift, kind of on the way out. My day starts the night before when I look at my schedule and I literally create. I've already had this conversation with you in my mind the night before.
Yeah,
I've already set the intention of how I want this conversation with you to go. Right? I've already done that. And so when I get into that space and I create it the night before, how do I want to feel when I wake up? What am I going to do right away? I've created structure. So within that structure, there's freedom. And it's just, that's made all the difference for me.
So, and again,
but here's the thing. Your dark passenger says, that's a lot of work. That's a lot of work. That's right. Here's the thing. I got to tell you. It's the energy into source. When you're plugged into that source, you're tapped into energy, and you're tapped into flow. But here's the pact with the universe is you have to make the first deposit.
Yeah.
So you can't go, I'm tired, I'm this. I have to be the one to make the first deposit. It's a giver's gain type of thing.
Yeah. So yeah, and if I can speak to my experience on this, even looking back to last night into today. So my dark passenger, as you say, has time conversations constantly because of the million things that I feel like are going on all the time. And I'm reminded all the time, though, when you and I first talked about doing these, Nima mentioned to me, he's like, hey, we should do this on a weekly basis. And I said, sure, let me think about it. And then I came back to him, I said, sure, this sounds good. Let's do these on a monthly basis. And he goes, no, let's do them on a weekly basis. He says, let's keep this momentum going. And he says, here's the focus of what we're going to do with these. We are going to think about how we can show up and serve other people to have breakthroughs throughout these conversations, whatever that looks like. Because again, not everybody's super active or commenting. These aren't topics typically that people are going to jump in and say, this is my, these are the things that I have as faults. Maybe you're just starting to experience that.
They don't want to get vulnerable. That's okay.
Yeah, and that's okay, because these conversations, will evolve over time too. But I'm reminded of that all the time, like to show up from a place of like, how can we serve the people that would be watching this? And my conversation always goes into a last night one, which is like, why did I agree to do these on a weekly basis? I got a million meetings to do tomorrow. And like you say, as I'm continuing to work on this too, I'm seeing the value. Every time we do these, I see comments coming in. I see what I'm learning, what I'm starting to, have absorbed into my mindset as to what will become routine for me on a daily basis. I see the value in it, and it is a practice. It is something that's just constant evolution, and we will never master it. That's the other thing I think that,
right.
From my perspective, that maybe a lot of people that are entrepreneurs can relate to as well, is I want to see a goal, and then I want to achieve that goal, and then I want to level up, and I want to level up, and I want to level up. But at the same time, like that goal becomes the thing of my obsession,
Yeah. You raise a really good point. You want to level up and then level up and level up. And here's what we do. And I was guilty of this until I got the lesson, which is we all entrepreneurs want to get to a level. Okay. We want to get to a specific level where now we are exonerated from doing the necessary work. So I want you to look at this as you're not a finished product. Okay. So we want to be a finished product, human beings. We want to be a finished product. Like this phone comes out of its package, and we are this phone. We are this device. But here's the thing with us humans. We all come with some sort of a disconnection. There's a loose connection happening with all of us. And which basically means that every single day, it's up to me to get connected to source every single day. It's my job. It's my work to get connected to that source. But all humans, we just have this deep fantasy that when I get to this level, when I make this much money, when I do this, then in that play, at that point, then I will be exonerated and I can go finally live in easy street. And many of you who've experienced that and then gotten that goal, reached that goal, and then you've seen, oh shit, it's even more accountability, more responsibility. You've been, you've had that fantasy cracked. It actually is that it lends to the fact that I am constantly a work in progress. And that if it were actually true that the people who are the most successful, are the happiest, well, then we wouldn't see so many superstars who have public fame and all of the accolades and Oscars and whatever. We wouldn't see them going into rehab for addictions. And that is a great illustration of the fact that it's my obligation and duty, if I want to have a wonderful experience of being alive, is that I need to actually be tapped into higher sources, and I need to carve out time to prepare myself to get that way. And I got to really look at all the resentments and regrets and get the right mentorship, because I can't do it alone. If you have an emotional charge with your family member, and you're really resentful, you can't just meditate that away. There is some deep-seated stories and emotional charges of infatuation and resentment that you got going on that it's critical for you to undo. Critical. So that's up to me to do every single day. And the last piece that makes it important is I'm not going to do it alone. Don't do it alone. Make sure you have accountability and skin in the game, and make sure you have a guide that's helping you. One of the things that is most important and critical for high performing athletes, anyone high performance, is that they're not doing it alone. You have mentorship. You have somebody that when the dark passenger hits you, you can reach out and go, all right, I'm having these issues. And then they can remind you of your greatness, and they can hold you accountable to the greatest version of yourself. And that's the key component to this, is you've got to have a guide. Make sure you have a guide. Do not do it alone. Have a guide, somebody who knows what you've been through, somebody who knows exactly what it takes to help get you there.
Awesome. So I just put a link in there, and we've been doing this at the end of every one of these that we do. Just if you guys want to learn more about everything that we're talking about and just see a little bit deeper into the kind of stuff that Nima's doing as well, there's a link there in the comments. You can go and check that out. And I'll also speak to the fact that, Nima and I have talked, and we have our program Expert Selling Machine, which is, we're going to be opening up again here in June, which is really geared towards supporting expert entrepreneurs that want to really make a difference with what it is they have as a gift. So whether that's as a coach or a consultant or a speaker or a freelancer or whatever it might be, in being able to implement some of the tactical stuff that we do in our business as well. But where Nima and I have talked, and I've actually enrolled Nima into being a part of our program too, is that the tactics and the strategies and all of the things that we teach, which are very well structured because it comes with years of experience, like we know what we're doing. We can definitely teach people how to do this. We can give them all the support that they need. But if the alignment isn't there with the mindset to actually believe that it's possible that you can do X, or that you are worthy of doing Y, or whatever the case might be, it all collapses right at the foundation. And that's why we're doing this work together here publicly, but also behind the scenes with our members in this program, our students in this program, because I can teach them all the tactics in the world. And in fact, I had a conversation today, I won't mention any names or anything, but I could just see, like, she's got all the pieces to be successful and really make a difference in what she does, which is an amazing business. And I'll talk to you about this later, Nima, but there's a block there that's saying, am I worth what I'm being told to charge, or the value that I can bring to my potential clients. And we spent half the conversation about that exact thing. It had nothing to do with what do you offer and how does your lead gen work and what's your sales process. It was literally in the belief that she had in whether or not what she brings to the table is worthwhile. With 20 years experience and tons of testimonials and these amazing results that she's got for her clients, and there's this block, right? Which is why these topics are so important that we talk about them publicly as well as in programs like the ones that we're working on. So let us know in the comments there if you guys enjoyed this, if there's anything that you took away. Obviously, there's a lot of pieces that we talked about. Is there one thing in particular you heard that really resonated with you? And then, of course, go ahead and click through on that link if you want to learn more about, what Dr. Nima is doing with his clients and students and whatnot as well.
Reach out to me if you have any questions. If anything that I said, I'd love to serve you in any way. If you're dealing with a problem, if something that I said kind of triggered you and it brought something up for you, and there's this little voice in your head, and you are in your heart and your head and heart, wherever, and there's something going on that has been blocking you, and that there's some sort of trauma and it's been holding you back and you're tired of living that way, reach out and I'd love to hop on a call and create a possibility for you. And there's no charge for the call, but it's really for those that are ready to be done with it and to really take action. I speak with you and your spouse, you and your partner. We sit down and we go, what's been the impact? How's it been, what's been going on? And it's kind of like a discovery call where we cut to the truth. We get to that truth. We get to the root cause of the root cause. And if you want to watch the training, Trevor just posted it there. I'd love to hear back from you. What would you like to hear more of? This is soul work for me. Teaching is soul work for me. So I love to teach, and any opportunity that I have to be able to serve in this capacity, I will. Just tell me exactly what you'd like to know. Tell me what's blocking you and what impact that's had on your life and where you'd like to go, and I'll point you in the right direction.
Yeah, and if I can speak for my own experience, I've been through this. I'm continuing to go through this. It's a never-ending journey. But it is, I encourage you, if there's something that resonated with you, to hop on a call with Nima, talk through some of these things. These are the biggest things that stop us from getting what we want in life. And a lot of times, what you think you want in life, and I can speak for myself as far as like financial goals and all these different things, it depends on where your situation is, and just speaking for me, but you really end up getting a different viewpoints or an alignments on like what's most important to you, and it allows you to feel more at peace with what you're doing every single day too, because as entrepreneurs we can layer a lot onto our plates here, and we hold a lot on those shoulders, and there's only so much you can do on your own. You need good guidance, good mentorship, good coaching along the way. It goes a long ways. So all right, I think we'll maybe wrap up with that. We're almost at the top of the hour. Any final words, Nima, and then we'll shut her down.
Just to stop playing small, to just realize that if you're truly here for something greater, that you're supposed to have this dark passenger. It's just, you got to learn how to dance with it and push through the resistance so that you can actually fulfill why you're here on this planet. And if you are hesitating because you're fearful, the fear is supposed to be there. You have to cultivate a healthy relationship with the fear. Reach out and ask for help. Do not do it alone, because the dark passenger wants to isolate you and say, what's the point? And the key that's going to keep this forward movement one step in front of the other is engagement. So stay engaged, reach out, and just know that you're not alone.
Awesome. All right, everyone. Thanks for being here. Appreciate it. You'll see us same time next week. We haven't even talked about what that topic will be, but we'll do some brainstorming after this, and we'll come up with something that I think would be of value to all of you. And feel free to reach out to me or Nima as well if you have anything in particular you'd like us to speak around. And in fact, as this is evolving for us too, we're looking at new ways to be able to reach more people, have more of an impact, possibly bring this onto different platforms. figure out a way to be able to get feedback from everyone so that it's, we have ideas on like, let's address these topics over the next 4 or 5 weeks. But then, the feedback coming from people like you watching this is incredibly valuable, because this is what this is for. It's for you. It's for you watching this right now. It's not for us. Obviously, we get a lot of satisfaction in knowing that we're, supporting people, but it is for you. So let us know. What do you need? What would you like to hear more about? What would you like support on? And we will create it. We'll make it happen. So on that note, thank you again, Nima. Have a great rest of the day, and we'll talk to you guys all soon.